Hi, welcome back to Unit 10, Day 8, our second video. We have looked at creating a new column in our SPA table to look at the ratio of the volumes of a three-dimensional figure. So we know our sides, our parts, our perimeters all reduced to the same scale factor. The area is reduced to the square of the scale factor, and now we know the volumes reduced to the cube of the scale factor. Okay, let's look at working backwards from not left to right in our SPA table, but perhaps from right back to left, or even from area back to left. Okay, so figure 1 or solid 1 is similar to solid 2. Find the scale factor of solid 1 to solid 2. Okay, so when I look at my scale factor, or my SPA table, I should say, let me get my table color. If I want to make a SPA table for these similar figures, I'm going to look and see what do I have 2 of. So when I look at this, I can see I have the scale factor of figure 1 and I have the scale factor of figure 2. Now, since it says solid 1 to solid 2, that means solid 1 is going to go in the numerator and solid 2 is going to go in the denominator. Okay, so I've got 288 and 128. So 288 over 128. Now, important, we want to be able to reduce. So when I look at this, to reduce this, I'm going to take my calculator, 288 divided by 128. Now, if I just do that, it's going to give me a decimal. I don't want a decimal. I want a fraction, okay, because I want it to be a ratio. So instead of doing equals, I'm going to do 288 divided by 128, and then I'm going to hit the math button and choose number 1 and say, hey, can you turn this fraction into a nicer fraction? And it'll reduce it for me. And I can see it's 9/4. So the ratio of my area is 9/4. And I know my area is my scale factor squared. So if I want to get back to my scale factor, I have to take that 9 and that 4, and I have to unsquare them. So to unsquare them, we have to square root. So my original scale factor was the square root of 9, which is 3, and the square root of 4, which is 2. So my scale factor is 3 to 2. The ratio of my perimeters is 3 to 2. And the ratio of my volumes is cubed. So I come back here to my 3 over 2, and I do 3 times 3 times 3, or 3 to the third power. And then 2 times 2 times 2, or 2 to the eighth power, I was getting ahead of myself, to the third power is 8. Now, what was my question asking me for? My question was asking me to find the scale factor. My scale factor is 3 to 2. We can write it like this, or we can write it 3 to 2. But I need to have solid 1 first, and then solid 2. 3 to 2. And we can tell solid 1 is bigger, 288, and solid 2 is smaller. Solid 1 is bigger, solid 2 is smaller. You can write your scale factor either as a fraction or with a colon. You could even write it out 3 to 2. You could do it any of those 3 ways. Okay, let's look at another example just like that. Number 4, solid 1 is similar to solid 2. Find the scale factor of solid 1 to solid 2. So again, solid 1 is going to go in the top, and solid 2 is going to go in the bottom. And I'm going to make my SPA table. All right, so this time they gave me not the surface areas of each sphere, they gave me the volumes of each sphere. So my volumes, solid 1 is going to go on top, 8 pi. And solid 2 is going to go on the bottom, 125 pi. And when I reduce that, I know the first thing I can see is my pi's are going to reduce, right? I have a pi on top and I have a pi on the bottom. So then I just need to look at the 8 over the 125. 8 divided by 125. I'm going to say math, give it to me as a fraction. And when I do that, I see 1/16. So this reduces to 1/16. Oh, no, it doesn't. Look what I did here. 128. I made a mistake. It's always good to double check what you have going on in your calculator. Let's try that again. So over here, it's 8 over 125. And I'm going to say math, give it to me as a fraction, and I get, oh, it doesn't reduce. I didn't think it reduced. That's why I was confused. So this doesn't reduce, which means all I have to do is reduce out those pi's. It's 8 over 125. Now, remember, your volume is cubed. So when I come over here to my scale factor, that 8 and that 125 have to be uncubed. When I unsquare something, I square root it. When I uncube something, I cube root it. In the calculator, to cube root, because we don't do it very often, we did it when we did spheres 2 lessons ago, but to cube root, you're going to hit the math button on your calculator. And then you're going to select this number 4. See how it has the little 3 in front of the square root? So then you're going to select number 4, which has the 3 in front of the square root, and then it opens a parentheses. Okay, so that's what I'm going to pick is the number 4. You can either arrow down to it or you can select 4. And notice it gives me my cube root symbol. I'm going to do the cube root of 8. That's 2. And then the cube root of 125. So math, number 4, and then 125. And that is 5. So the ratio of my sides is 2 to 5. The ratio of my parts is 2 to 5. And the ratio of my areas is, I'm going to square. 2 squared is 4. 5 squared is 25. Okay, so my question said, what is the scale factor? The scale factor is 2 to 5, which I can write like this, or I can write it as 2 to 5, or I can write it as 2 to 5. All 3 of those are saying the same scale factor, 2 to 5, 2 to 5, 2 to 5. Okay, come on back in the next video, and we're going to look at comparing ratios of areas and comparing ratios of volumes when you're given kind of more of a word problem type situation rather than a picture. All right, so come on back for that next video. See you in a minute.